Yesterday I was wrong in the date. Today is March 26th, 2015. This is a little bit more than 800. We had very problems and we still have them. This is happening all around. I have my second SIM on and I am being still on the "we done first," repeating behind what I say and during all that I say for there to keep on making the super control of Grand Whore and the generate Sadamagamar. I'm going to explain one thing and I'm going to try to be brief on this moment. During this all is being recorded on 1 point reference feed on satellite that is controlled, and no one has this video except Israel government, US government, International Criminal Court, United Nations and others. I have this special device, which is a special device that, even if hard to believe, is exactly this. Has a very DMC system for onboard satellite connection, which I don't have no application and neither the SIM for the service I do use directly, but exists inside my device, and this is what is being used. The reality of this is exactly what I were telling and noticing. Grand Whore evangelics were ready for the making the domain, saying that the Christ of them will reign, and I say no, Lucifer won't reign. So in the middle of this all, this disgusting bugs of hell started to making a riot and preparing people and making a robbery at the Israel government and US government and Swiss, even Italy government, about certain class of armament for they to start murdering Jewish people related on me, United Nations, International Court of Justice, International Criminal Courts, US, Israel, and all as places all around the world, members, persons, responsibles, authorities, for there to keep on making what they says got to be done. Saying that they will fight against the beast and they will fight against the whole of the enemy of the God, and the beast for them, it's supposed to be me. Yesterday I have been in Scalabrini Ortiz told me 1084 numeral address at this city, almost intersection Cordoba Avenue, and I were about to making something which it were requested while and during certain class of extortions, and a need for requesting and an order for the reality of research. At the reality of this days, it were through the clear fact I were making networks in that cyber, and I were doing what I had to do. So the reality of this were I made the uploading of the videos I done about the morning of yesterday, and one extra right in place, and with that I just came back and made some send of Gmail at the reality which were happening and about coming. Por favor andate. Por favor te pido andate. Por favor andate y cerra la puerta. Por favor andate y cerra la puerta. The clear fact of this, and I'm sorry for this, seems to be like the fever of evangelics, even here, permanently, and it's exactly that. So at the real of this, and the clear fact, for what we go through, is exactly what came on happening and still does. That one inside where the super popular Hebrew, which is not a Hebrew, it's not Jewish, and the super popular kid fellow on the place and made a transference of data of the whole I were doing in my account and the whole I got in my account with addresses and everything to 25th, 38th, 29th, 28th, 27th, 22nd, 33rd, 23rd, and 35th, and also to others like Phony and 52 and 52nd and Central and the supposed expertise as perras degeneradas, building transference of data of the whole I've been networking and all I got and I had in my accounts and my password on my Google Pack. And through this, even though seems like nothing were wrong for them, basuras degeneradas, serviles perras prostitutas de la bragueta de Sodoma, like United Evangelics, prostitutas de cuarta, genocidas, criminales degenerados psicópatas. Then in the middle of this all, also were transferred to the Unión de las Asambleas de Dios, to Guillermo Hazef, and Osvaldo Carníbal, Omar Cabrera, Juan Crudo, Carlos Anacondia, saying that they had to study and having the testimony of one of them, like witness of the whole I've been saying and delivering, for making not only the trials, but the execution of the justice of the Lord, and the judgment of the justice of the Lord, which is Lucifer, and they, Brain, Crudo, Carníbal, Cabrera, Anacondia, and associated with that, Lucifer. And that's the way they dies. So in the middle of this all, I were noticing and making orders and trying to keep the people, and trying to noticing everybody and noticing the whole of the thing. And the International Criminal Court made on the job, and we made on the job, and everything were clear. We noticed and we were working for. All through this, the day just kept on, and I were requested to come into Palermo Forestry and Lakes, Buenos Aires Park, just treating certain research and certain other class of elemental dealing at the clear fact of extortions. So whenever I just came to Palermo Forestry and Lakes Park, I just were walking through and I found certain class of a very rare reality, and I were profaned for about 8,204 times and 9,000 even, while 7,000 were same evangelistas of Guillermo Hazef, Osvaldo Carníbal, Carlos Anacondia, Omar Cabrera, Juan Crudo, and Claudio Freitson, telling that they had taken the control on me and God will ever justify them the witchcraft. And the reality of this started to making the reading over profane witchcraft, selective national security techniques supposedly will be justified by God, all over to trying to find out where the Jewish, and I were exhaustively taking people away from here and from the whole Latin America and from Europe. And I could move a very number, helping people, my supposed delirious, and rescuing victims and innocents. But were not enough. And I got exhausted, really annoying, with a very backache, armache, feet ache, headache, and profound like the hell in heat, not I to be, for the making the boner of Sodoma, to the making the power up in the world. So in the middle of this all, I just done what I had to do, and I done what I done. And while this keeps on saying, oh, we won and we are doing, and he's rubbing also the massage to us, Sodoma y Gomorra, de generación abominable y perras praying, which are the same, with the whole associated. And just happened what naturally they were ready for. I came here, and I'm sorry for this, I felt terrible, and I'm still a little bit, and I only wanted to have some moment to be holding, someone to be right around, and I asked to my mother to comfort me. And she never done but, oh, you are not a kid anymore, you're a big person, don't you bother me. The evangelic's natural. So in the middle of this all, I went around this place and I slept here. And I just slept with ice at my arm for the reason of the compression yesterday while my fell for una perra ca in the middle of the way. And in the middle of this all, perras evangelistas telling, oh, Capana Stem! Delirantes deflectivas perras de Sodoma y Gomorra, witches that generates. And in the middle of this all, like I was saying, coming to the Palermo Park. And I were walking in a very special place. So I just walked through, and while walking through, there were these marica, Policía Federal Argentina, considered of expertise of some good, perro degenerado abominable, making the coverage of PAG that supposedly lets playing a little bit to catalyzing the gay psychopath fetish, of course, putazos, sorry the word, forgive me please, this. And at the reality of this, which are, there's no doubt, at the reality of this, and I'm sorry you can beep in this, your honors, God, Shem, Mr. President, Matt, Eros, please be careful there. In the middle of this reality, it just happened to clear the extortion and the research. So I just passed by for about 3 times beside the perro marica degenerado, Policía Federal Argentina, like the rest all considered of expertise as perros maricas degenerados, and pardon for a few ill process, or ill in process, natural. And just watching the reality that in the extortion, at the reality of the need of the researching by International Court of Justice, were just executed. And I just passed by, and whenever I passed by I had to watch, and we just perras degeneradas, like always done, oh, he watched this, he watched that, and he thought, what do you think? National security techniques, manipulás, enfermás, reventás, adosás, delirás, inventás la mierda que sos sobre cualquiera que tenés para el poder de la codicia de la fiebre de tu verga. Marica degenerado. Sorry for this also, forgive me please. You can be ping. So I just went away where a place that there are this class delivering all the time perras degeneradas and groping themselves for their if any chance or any class of, oh, I'm gonna jump up desperately up on you and I'm gonna, oh my god, like you ill my people and destroy my people for they to be like puppets at the flows of your cum, marica degenerado. So at the reality of this, with evangelicals all the time, because of that's what they dedicate, and Kirchners, which are the same. Perras de Jezebel, Baales, everyone. And I'm not talking about myself, and I'm not defining myself for the reason of you think you are anointed, profano degenerado. You are diablos, Baales, profanando las cosas de Adonai, que Adonai te dijo, no tendrás, y cuanto toques para muerte te serán, Shalá, y de la muerte no saldrán. Ni prey, ni crudo, ni carníval, ni cabrera, ni anacondia, ni ningún asociado. So at the reality of the soul, to the certain clear fact set, this soul is exactly what it is. I just went through, and there were extortions, and there were researching. So I just passed by, and came back again, and I had to walk through all over the same park, until to getting someplace to taking a bus or something, or seeing what's next. So in the middle of this all, I just passed by, and there were what naturally happens in that place. And I had to deal in denigration, I had to deal in profanation, destruction, and the perras brujas degeneradas evangelistas delivering like perras maricas de Sodoma y Gomorra, prostitutas de la misma posuta, making the spell, and I told you, we know he himself shown himself, and he himself has felt and shown, delirando con pornografía ensamblada, inventada, perras de cuarta, and with the announcement of the Lord of the trouser of Sodom and Gomorrah, Lucifer, telling, Lord spoken to us and shown to us. with La Bragueta Mágica that they dedicates to. So in the middle of this all started to premeditating and making the whole of the plan of evangelic's spiritual world. Let's take in the world and the Christ to reign in. Let's take in the States. La codicia de la enfermedad de la fiebre de Sishlivita, which is not Levi, is Livitac. Por eso se le llama, that's the reason why it's called Sishlivita. Some diablos. And in the middle of this all started to come all over the world and trying to murder justice parties and trying to murder International Criminal Court, murdered 2 prosecutors in The Hague and 14 officers of law and pretending to murdering the whole of the War and Anti-Terrorism Council in United Nations and the whole of the heads of United Nations, which were working with us for establishing orders and supporting people and population of the world, and in the risk, the whole ones which Jewish and Sion, Mishpach, to be protected. But all through this all stolen the whole of the weapon and concept weapon and crafters. And we're all around with crafters trying to learn, with mind reading and guessing like Diablas degeneradas, telling Lord will justify to the taking the world and putting the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Allah's Son, Luciano Troviano, at the ringing. That is Yeshua for you. La misma bestia degenerada que te va a consumir por los siglos en el infierno. Anacondia. Prencarníbal crudo Cabrera. Sos la casta de la degeneración, sos la masonería evangelista de todos los tiempos y así morís. Y no hay error en mi dicho. Y todo tu asociado con vos. Y sos 666 y así morís. Carlos Anacondia, Omar Cabrera, Bernardo Estemateas, Claudio Freyson, Osvaldo Carníbal, Juan Crudo y especialmente la perra delirante, marica, genocida, ladrón, enfermo, repodrido, mentiroso, criminal, manipulador, bruja, Guillermo Horacio Prein, diablo degenerado. Y así mueren. Masonería 666 son, y así mueren y no se me vuelve. El Señor, el Dios, el Jai, dijo, muertos hijos de Lucifer, mostado, que ni siquiera son hijos sino ladillas, y así morirán. Por los siglos sino yo, ustedes perras. Shalá. So at the reality, el hocus pocus de tu unción no es nada más que profanación y degeneración y delirio. Dios es el que decide, vos morís por ello. Y para siempre, y no para gloria de Dios, sino para la justicia de su nombre. Y su gloria será sobre la degeneración que hicieron y sobre la enfermedad abominable que cada uno de ustedes son y serán por los siglos. Shalá. Con toda su Sodoma y Gomorra, justificada por el Dios del siglo del FRENCHRHAGE, que no fue ni es ni será Dios, excepto por la ironía, el mismo diablo en persona, al cual ustedes sirven, Prein, Crudo, Carníbal, Anacondia, Cabrera, Freyson, Estemateas y todo asociado. Then in the middle of the soul, and bleve sevesh kable vechal chalekimi gar halach machachala vaseveshel, embot leve sivish motakal chivik manrechal cham. And went directly to the Blefasivikoa Blebachalacham with the Perras. I done first! I said first and he stole it to me! So at the reality and in the middle of the soul, Blebasechalachimia, Blebaseveshko Blebachalachivicama atskar. And Blebaseveshko Blebachalim Matechalacham. And murdered 40,809,204 Jewish and friends of us. Mishpach. In Europe, in the US, in Argentina, with devices that nobody gave them. And also 5 members of the government of the United States of America, 3 members of United Nations New York Plaza, 1 member of Liaison Office, New York, and 1 member of Coalition, ICC, Geneva, and heard 28 members of Government of Israel and murdered 1 civil, which were working for the protecting people and helping for things to be fixed. And Gibson, he has exposed and putting himself at the reality to be known. Se deschavó él mismo. He exhibited himself. En el delirio de las perras evangelistas y degenerados, service for Sodom and Gomorrah, genocidio del nombre del Adón entre su nación y la humanidad. Ustedes, evangelistas, fueron, son y serán muy deflectivamente, diablamente peligrosos. Con el perdón de víctimas, son peligro, son inestables, son manipulables, son criminales, son mentirosos, son enfermedad criminal, son diablos la mayoría, son gran ramera. That is the reason why Adonai taken the best ever as schooled at the time I were named. At the reality you were making to me, all you keep on doing, and they said he is Eliah, and fade them from your brothels. And that is the reality, and you knew, and you do this. Perras degeneradas del infierno de la gran ramera, because of your conscience. And you are real conscience of this all. And you persist in I stolen to you, and that everything I said, oh, he just stepped his own. Because of I announced, because of I said so, got to be. It will be kind of a denial at the refreshing, masking psychopath thing. About the magic Sodoma degenerado trouser y maricas aledañas como ustedes, evangelistas de mierda. Perras abominables de su pachica. La diabla a la que ustedes adoran hacer la guerra y decir, oh, madleve segali, pa. Perras enfermas. Jugando al poder supremo, al delirio bandiraca. Son diablos y así se murieron. Y así van a morir. We already have the whole of the bodies. Even families complete and kids. Pa, vas a morir. Beljabat lemesivish kalach manjalejimian blabasahim, yo no soy la bestia. Tu delirio es tu enfermedad y tu muerte por los siglos. Y tú, profana víbora, perra sodomita y gomorrita, con tu hechicería no van a hacer que yo lo sea, y te vas a morir reventado en el infierno, marica Brain, y toda marica aledaña como vos, perras evangelistas. Y cuanto más hagas, más muerte te voy a poner, y más violencia de muerte y de destrucción por los siglos, y no te vas a librar. Shalom. While perras, alvear Piñeiro Borda, forenses y toda marica federal, oh, insults us in the middle of the streets and is running for us. While la delirante marica DNI 25.773.413 y la delirante prostituta DNI 29.342.722, Policía Federal Argentina montada, were in the middle of the way and I just passed by away from, and telling came here to seduce me in one of the pack of mine and insulted my partner. While I never cut nearing approach and done the fact that the perra sucia will ever take a picture that I will ever blow. So in the middle of this all, perras aledañas started to delirium as well and made in the whole of the tub. And I just came out of the place, destroyed, ruined, profaned, and really profaned. Tired and wanted to putting dead shit like this. And I'm not going to stop until I finish the last. So in the middle of this reality, God is one thing. Perras parásitas de Sodoma y Gomorra, we don't need. With the name of evangelics and authorities of God, which never were or not in want. So the clear fact of this, anointed are the ones that follows the reality of his name. Profane degenerates are all this like we suffer all the time and still dares to keep on making the same. Staging is all around, and they were about being murdered if they wouldn't regret to the commanding of these perras degeneradas, sustaining Sodom and Gomorrah and vigorizing the palace of Sodoma for the raping and destroying our people permanently. And Gomorrah. So at the reality of the soul, will that dream come true about me? I will ever be attached at the reality of you will command, and making me have a work like the Lord commanded, and if I wouldn't do it, you will ever sacrifice me with the fellows of Sodoma, because of Adonai will justify them. Guillermo Prein, Osvaldo Carnival, Omar Cabrera, Juan Crudo, Carlos Anacondia, for they to be me, because of Lord said I wouldn't correct, and I wouldn't attach, and there is too much destruction and death and murder all around this, and everything is a pain and everything is a disaster, and he doesn't change us, and he doesn't cure us, and he doesn't sanctify us, it's always dirty. Diablos degenerados, brujas, maricas deflectivas, y así se mueren hijos de perra. Ustedes hicieron el fundamento de Sodoma y Gomorra como estaba escrito. Ustedes generaron la destrucción que Sodoma y Gomorra generó. Ustedes fueron copartícipes todo el tiempo y todo el tiempo son una degeneración. Y por los siglos muertos van a ser. Por los siglos mierda se les dará. Y todo lo que me robaron y despojaron, sin permiso ni derecho ni autoridad, y no se les dio para despojo, ni pudieron hacer, solo parasitar, destruir, deformar mi vida y mi persona con las malditas maricas de Sodoma y las perras de Gomorra, como la perra acá. Diablos degenerados con la mentira y el engaño de la justificación de Dios y con la mentira y el engaño de que hayan sido puestos por Dios y que fueran a ser autoridades, perras diablas del infierno 666 como ustedes. Por los siglos y cada moneda que me robaron a mí y a mi gente, con muerte de los siglos en pudrición, de destrucción, de violencia, de muerte, ninguno va a salir de eso. Y por los siglos se les da. Shalom. Rechamat lebesi bishkat lebech mangelacham. Imbod lebesebech hamab lebesik imiam lebesebech koap lebechachal. And kept with I stolen the laptops, the cell phones, and the house, and the furniture, and the whole as I gave it to Israel, to US, to justice bodies that still are trying to hacking and robbing with evangélicos degenerados and Sodoma y Gomorra inteligencia argentina. En UNASUR. Like I told you, not underestimate at all. Yes, exactly that. And AMIA still some risk, and the rest all around. And not only them, everybody. I'm going to tell you one thing, and forgive me please, Your Honors, Mr. Presidents, Justice Parties. Matt, I'm sorry. Please be fine there, you and everybody, as best as possible, and I'm so sorry. Same you Eros, same you Bly, Vladi, Irvi, Koinen, Skadi, Tashel, Kamav, Roman, Cody. Please, everybody. God, baby, Shem, my love, Moshe, I need you all to be safe there. And I'm sorry, Shem. I'm gonna touch the sands in a day. And I'm gonna put them at your feet with a kiss, to remember that Adonai will accomplish what he said. I'm sorry. I love you. At the clear of this, to the telling you, you are not killed yet. And I'm sorry for the changing words. You're not blamed. You're not guilty of as no charge. You cannot be. Your Honors, You gotta carry the reality of the justice as possible to avoiding what it were told, denigrating my person, as possible to avoiding it, understanding what we deal with and what we are struggled. You are not denigrating God, as meanwhile the reality of what it means we are dealing with the problems we have and making justice like I told you. But anyway, this is not really nice and this is not really good. I go through the situations as the dealing this all, but the clear fact, like I said, I'm gonna carry my responsibility on it and I'm gonna companion you for the real of the institutions and the giving as best we can all it is. I'm gonna make pay to the disgusting hell abominable freaks that produces this forever. Listen to me, please. I needed the Shemad, and I needed we all to putting and establishing orders. That's the reason why I didn't want to give in technologies and approaching the reality of extending elements which this could ever rubbing for the making the destructions we are suffering somehow, but not in a whole, because of that is not the point. But even though, I need we all to be careful, please. You understand what these evangelistas degenerados with the burden of victims are permanently doing and obstructing and conditioning the thought, the realizing, the producing that kind of a suppressive state which nobody realizes and can see or notice and easy prey to become. Which I am not endorsing and I am not giving nothing like a possibility that will happen in no faith, and it is a war and our demons with the burden of victims. At the reality of this, I ask you all please to understand this is not a joke. And like I said, Ragesh were not given to demons and the generates and this legacy, it's gonna die. And go in the hell forever, because of this is what gotta happen at the name of El God himself, El Chai. So at the reality of this whole, the Ragesh were for the reason of Amblevesecha Chidimima Ambleveseveshek, and is since the times of Asvaatka, before Shaul and Ami. So the reality of this is exactly profound, which have been doing permanently the same coming to Israel, to reading something, especially perra degenerada brain, to trying to manipulate and learning, and how to making the manipulation, making the business of the century, saying we come to this earth to try to take him because of the Lord sent us, el delirio de Lucifer, en la maldita degeneración que son. So what the reality of this, they don't have God, they goes to rob to God like it is the Christ term. Taking powers from the God for become like God's original sin and making self-empire, that is Christ, Christi. Mati amikali Christ ati makeshut Christivi ta aset. That is the laden Christo. So I stay with Mashiach, because of I got God. And Mashiach is not Diablo Luciano Troviano. Mashiach is Yeshua Hasaret. So, remopleve sevechal chalaki moplevecha chalaki batzekashel abakina manrecha chalchanam. And rechovat levecha